Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're dimming the lights and diving headfirst into the shadowy world of urban legends. You know, the ones I'm talking about, those creepy stories whispered at sleepovers, shared around campfires, or forwarded in chain emails back in the day. They feel so real, so plausible, that they blur the line between fact and fiction. But where do they come from? And why do they stick with us for so long? Let's find out. First up, let's talk about a classic that has haunted drivers for decades, the vanishing hitchhiker. The story usually goes something like this. A lone driver, often on a dark and stormy night, picks up a young woman standing by the side of the road. She's quiet, maybe a little sad. She gives the driver an address and they drive in silence. When they arrive, the driver turns to say goodbye, but she's gone, vanished. Confused, the driver goes to the door and is met by an older couple who explains that their daughter, who fits the description perfectly, passed away in a car accident on that very road years ago. Spooky, right? This legend has variations all over the world, with some versions dating back centuries. It taps into our fears of the unknown, the supernatural, and the lingering grief of tragic events. It's a ghost story that feels like it could happen to anyone, which is exactly what makes it so powerful. Next, let us move from the lonely roads to our own homes with the calls coming from inside the house. This one is the stuff of nightmares and has been the basis for countless horror films. A babysitter is watching the kids after they've gone to bed. The phone rings. A menacing voice on the other end whispers, "Have you checked the children?" The babysitter, terrified, hangs up, thinking it's a prank call. But the calls keep coming. Finally, she calls the police to trace the number. The operator calls back, frantic, and screams the iconic line, "We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house." The babysitter, the children, their fate is usually left chillingly ambiguous. This legend plays on our deepest fears about safety in our own homes, the vulnerability of being responsible for others, and the idea that danger isn't always outside, but can be lurking right under our noses. It's a primal fear, and this story packages it perfectly. Now, let us get a little more modern and talk about something that spread like wildfire with the rise of the internet. Slender Man. Unlike older legends that have murky origins, we know exactly where Slender Man came from. In 2009, a user on the Something Awful forums created the character for a Photoshop contest. He posted 2 black and white photos of children with a tall, thin, faceless figure in a black suit lurking in the background. He added creepy captions, and just like that, a legend was born. People started adding to the lore, writing stories, creating artwork, and even making video series. Slender Man became a collaborative, open-source monster. He was said to stalk, abduct, or traumatize people, particularly children. What's fascinating about Slender Man is how he demonstrates the evolution of folklore in the digital age. A story can be created from scratch and become a global phenomenon in a matter of months, its narrative shaped by thousands of people online. It shows how our collective anxieties, now shared through screens, can give birth to new monsters. Let's shift gears to something a little less supernatural and a bit more biological. Alligators in the sewers. This is a story that just refuses to die. The tale suggests that baby alligators, bought as novelty pets by tourists, were flushed down the toilet once they started to grow. These resilient reptiles then survived and thrived in the city sewer system, growing to monstrous sizes and occasionally popping up to terrorize unsuspecting city dwellers. It sounds completely ridiculous, but there's a tiny grain of truth that keeps it alive. While a full-blown alligator colony under a major city is highly improbable, there have been documented cases of alligators being found in strange places, including sewer drains. These are usually isolated incidents of escaped or discarded pets. But the legend takes that small possibility and blows it up into a full-blown eco-horror story, reflecting our anxieties about the urban environment and the untamable aspects of nature encroaching on our man-made world. Another legend that plays on our fears of hidden dangers is the story of poisoned Halloween candy. Every year, as October 31st approaches, warnings circulate about strangers putting razor blades, needles, or poison in treats. Parents are told to meticulously inspect every piece of candy their kids bring home. The fear is palpable. But here's the thing. Documented cases of random strangers trying to harm children this way are virtually non-existent. Almost all of the few confirmed incidents of tampered candy were traced back to a family member or someone the child knew, not a random, malicious stranger. So why does this myth persist? It speaks to a broader societal anxiety about the safety of our children and a fear of the other or the anonymous threat. It's a cautionary tale that has become an annual ritual, even if the danger it warns against is largely imaginary. Finally, let's explore a legend that taps into our fear of modern medicine and organ trafficking. The kidney heist. You've probably heard some version of this. A business traveler has a drink at a bar, maybe with an attractive stranger. The next thing they know, they wake up in a hotel bathtub filled with ice. They feel a sharp pain in their lower back and see a note taped to the wall that says, "Call 911 or you will die." On their back, they find a fresh, stitched-up incision. They've had a kidney stolen. This story is pure high-octane paranoia. It combines the fear of being drugged, the vulnerability of traveling alone, and the horrifying concept of black market organ harvesting. Medical experts have widely debunked it, explaining that a non-consensual kidney removal in a non-sterile hotel room by an amateur surgeon would almost certainly result in the victim's death from bleeding or infection, and the organ would be useless. But the story is just too good, too terrifying to disappear. It's a modern-day boogeyman story, warning us about the dangers of trusting strangers in an increasingly globalized world. So, what's the common thread here? Urban legends are more than just scary stories. They are reflections of our collective fears, anxieties, and moral values. They adapt and evolve from campfire tales to viral internet posts. But their core purpose remains the same: to entertain, to warn, and to make sense of a world that can often feel chaotic and frightening. They are the folklore of the modern age, a mirror held up to our society. They remind us that sometimes the most terrifying monsters aren't the ones with fangs and claws, but the ones that live in the dark corners of our own minds and whisper, "What if?" What are some of your favorite urban legends? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to read them and maybe even cover them in a future video. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today and exploring these creepy corners of our culture. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure. Stay curious, stay safe, and maybe check behind you before you turn out the lights tonight. See you next time.